Ambassador Claire Hoffman had served humanity in the Galactic Council for 17 years. She had seen things that would have broken most people. She had listened to the Valorian delegates call humans primitive. She had watched the Kethrasi trade ministers laugh at human proposals. She had sat quietly while the Silurian military commanders talked about humanity like they were dangerous animals that needed to be controlled. But today was different. Today, she watched the Council vote against humanity once again. The vote was about mining rights to the Kepler 442 asteroid belt. Human scientists had discovered it. Human ships had mapped it. Human engineers had spent 3 years planning how to extract the valuable minerals inside those floating rocks. And now, with one vote, the Council had given those rights to the Valorians instead. The Council chamber was a massive room made of crystal. It floated high above the neutral world of Thalaxis Prime. Light from 3 distant suns came through the walls and made everything glow in soft colors. Representatives from 47 species sat in their designated areas. Some breathed oxygen like humans. Others needed methane or ammonia. Special force fields kept everyone alive and comfortable. Claire stood up from her seat. The movement was slow and deliberate. Around her, the alien delegates watched with their usual expressions of amusement. Humans were entertaining to them, the youngest species in the Council, barely 400 years into space travel. They were practically babies compared to civilizations that had existed for 10,000 years or more. High Arbiter Kolmeth noticed her standing. He was the leader of the Council, a Valorian with shiny scales that changed color when light hit them. He had 6 eyes that blinked one after another, never all at once. His species had ruled the Council for 2,000 years. They considered themselves the most civilized beings in the galaxy. "Does the human delegation wish to speak?" Kolmeth asked. His voice was smooth and calm, like a parent talking to a child who had interrupted an important conversation. "Yes," Claire said. Her voice did not shake. "The human delegation formally withdraws from the Galactic Council. This withdrawal is effective immediately." The translator systems in the chamber hummed as they converted her words into 46 different languages. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was so complete that Claire could hear her own heartbeat. Then Kolmeth laughed. The translators turned it into something that sounded almost friendly. But Claire knew it was not friendly at all. It was the sound of someone who thought they were dealing with a fool. "Ambassador Hoffman," he said, "please control yourself. We understand that humans have strong emotions. It is one of your species' less attractive qualities. But this kind of dramatic behavior is not appropriate here. Return to your seat." "Unattend." "No." Claire began picking up her diplomatic tablets from the desk in front of her. "We are leaving." "You cannot simply leave," said Trade Minister Yestha of the Kethrasi. She was a snake-like creature, 3 meters long, with scales that were deep blue and gold. Her body coiled and uncoiled as she spoke, a sign of agitation. "There are treaties that bind you. Your species signed the Compact of Mutual Cooperation. You have obligations. A compact that your species has violated 17 times in the past 10 years, Claire replied. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. "We filed formal complaints for every violation. Every single complaint was dismissed without investigation. Those were minor disagreements," Yestha said. "Trade disputes. Nothing more. You stole our agricultural technology and gave it to the Valorians. You blocked our ships from trading in neutral ports. You shared our FTL drive designs with the Silurians without our permission." Claire looked directly at the Silurian delegation as she said this. Commander Vethro, their military leader, did not look away. His insect-like face showed no emotion. "We shared that technology for the good of all species," Kolmeth said. "Humanity cannot expect to keep secrets from the galactic community. And yet," Claire said, "every other species keeps their secrets. The Valorians still refuse to share their medical technology. The Kethrasi hide their navigation algorithms. The Silurians have weapons systems that no one else is allowed to study. Only humanity is expected to give everything away." She walked toward the exit portal. Her footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. "If you leave," Kolmeth called after her, "there will be consequences. Humanity will be alone. No trade, no protection, no access to council resources." Claire stopped at the door. She turned back to face the chamber one last time. "We have been alone since we joined this council," she said. "The only difference is that now we are choosing it." She walked through the portal and did not look back. On Earth, President Marcus Bailey received Claire's message 3 hours later. He was sitting in his office in the Unity Building, the center of human government. The room was simple compared to the crystal chambers of Thalaxis Prime: wooden walls, a large desk, windows that looked out over a green park where children were playing. His chief of staff, a quiet woman named Laura Kim, stood nearby. She had been with him since the beginning of his political career. She knew what this message meant. "She did it," Bailey said. He set down the tablet and leaned back in his chair. "She actually did it. The council will think we are bluffing," Laura said. "They will expect us to come back in a few weeks, apologizing and asking for forgiveness." "I know." Bailey stood up and walked to the window. He watched the children playing below. They were so innocent. They had no idea what was happening. "Get me Admiral Stone, and contact every colony, every station, every ship we have. It is time to close the doors." Laura nodded and left the room. Bailey stayed at the window for a long time. He thought about everything humanity had been through. The first contact with alien life, 300 years ago. The excitement and hope, the slow realization that the galaxy was not a friendly place. The decades of compromise and patience and swallowed pride. He thought about his daughter, who was only 7 years old. He thought about the world she would grow up in. "We tried it their way," he said to himself. "We tried to be good partners. We tried to follow their rules. And they treated us like animals." He turned away from the window. No more. Within 72 hours, the orders went out. Human diplomatic missions were closed. Trade routes went dark. Communication relays that connected human space to the rest of the galaxy were switched off one by one. For the first time in 3 centuries, humanity was alone. And for the first time in 3 centuries, humanity was free. 6 months passed. The galaxy continued to spin. Stars burned. Planets orbited. Ships traveled through hyperspace lanes from one system to another. Everything seemed normal. But something was wrong. Everyone could feel it. In the great crystal chamber of the Galactic Council, High Arbiter Kolmeth called an emergency session. The seats that had once held the human delegation were empty now. They had been empty for 6 months. At first, the other species had joked about it. The humans would come back. They always did. Young species had tantrums sometimes. It was expected. But the humans had not come back. They had not even sent a message. "Report," Kolmeth said to Scout Commander Vethro of the Silurian fleet. The insect-like warrior stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing maps of human space. "Their border systems are completely sealed," Vethro reported. His voice was flat, but there was something in it that sounded almost like fear. "We have sent 47 diplomatic vessels. All of them were turned away." "Turned away how?" asked Kolmeth. "Warning shots." Vethro clicked his mandibles nervously. "Precisely targeted. Our ships were hit in their propulsion systems. Engines disabled, no casualties. No damage to life support. Just stopped." A murmur went through the assembly. "And then?" Kolmeth pressed. "Human vessels arrived and towed our ships back to neutral space. They did not respond to any communication. They did not explain. They simply pushed us out and left." Kolmeth's scales shifted color, showing his displeasure. "The Silurian fleet is the most advanced military force in the Council. How could humans disable your ship so easily?" Vethro did not answer for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was quieter. "We do not know. Our analysts have studied the weapon signatures. They do not match any technology in our databases. It is something new. Something we have never seen before." The murmur grew louder. Species that had been rivals for thousands of years looked at each other with shared concern. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were primitive. Everyone knew that. Trade Minister Yestha slithered forward, her blue and gold scales dull with stress. "We must discuss the economic situation," she said. "The Kethrasi economy depends heavily on human agricultural exports. The Quenthar grain that humans developed feeds 30% of our population. Without it, find another source," Kolmeth said dismissively. "There is no other source." Yestha's voice was sharp with anger. "Human genetic engineers created that grain specifically for our biology. It took them 50 years to develop. No one else has the knowledge to reproduce it. And now..." She paused, collecting herself. "Famine has already begun on 3 of our colony worlds. If this continues, millions will die." The chamber fell silent. Kolmeth's scales flickered through several colors before settling on a deep blue that indicated deep thought. "Surely they would not let millions starve," said a delegate from the Vorn Collective, a species of small, furry beings known for their optimism. "Humans are emotional. They care about suffering. If we explain the situation, they know the situation," Yestha interrupted. "We sent messages. Hundreds of messages. Begging them to resume grain shipments. Offering to pay any price. They did not respond. Not once." From the back of the chamber, a gravelly voice spoke. "Perhaps they have finally learned." Everyone turned to look at Delegate Morthos of the Gathic Confederation. He was an old creature, covered in gray fur, with 4 eyes that seemed to look in different directions at once. His species was known for staying neutral in all conflicts. They watched. They remembered. They rarely spoke. "Learned what?" Kolmeth asked. "That kindness is seen as weakness in this council." Morthos stood slowly, his old joints cracking. "For 300 years, humans tried to be good partners. They shared their technology freely. They helped species that had nothing to offer in return. They followed every rule, even when those rules were unfair to them." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates who quickly looked away. "And how did we repay them? We stole their inventions. We blocked their trade. We laughed at their proposals. We treated them like children because they were young and because they were kind." He shook his head slowly. "They have learned that kindness brings only pain. So now they offer us nothing. No kindness. No grain. No communication. Nothing." "This is absurd," Commander Vethro said. "They are one species, young, primitive. What threat could they possibly pose by isolating themselves?" Morthos turned his 4 eyes toward the Silurian commander. "That is exactly what worries me," he said quietly. "What are they doing in there that they do not want us to see?" No one had an answer. Over the following months, the effects of humanity's withdrawal spread through the galaxy like a slow disease. The Kethrasi famine grew worse. 3 more colony worlds reported food shortages. The government began rationing, but it was not enough. The Valorians discovered that the quantum processors they had taken from humans were failing. Human engineers had built in safeguards that activated after 6 months without proper maintenance codes that only humans knew. Suddenly, Valorian computing systems were running at half efficiency. Trade calculations that once took seconds now took hours. Even the Silurians were affected. Their new FTL drives, based on stolen human designs, began to malfunction. Ships were getting lost in hyperspace. Some never came back. It turned out that the designs the humans had shared were incomplete. Important safety protocols were missing. The Silurians had been flying with technology they did not fully understand. In his private chambers, High Arbiter Kolmeth studied the reports with growing unease. Every week brought new problems, new failures, new evidence that humanity had been far more important to the galactic economy than anyone had realized. "They planned this," he said to his assistant, a young Valorian named Telros. "They must have. No species could be this prepared for isolation by accident." "What should we do?" Telros asked. Colmeth did not answer for a long time. He stared at the star map showing human space, a dark region where no information came out and no ships went in. "We wait," he finally said. "They cannot stay isolated forever. Eventually, they will need something from us. And when they do, we will make them pay for this humiliation." But weeks turned into months, and months began to turn into years. The silence from human space continued. And slowly, the Council began to realize a terrible truth. Humanity did not need them. They had never needed them. And now, finally, they were showing the galaxy what that meant. Deep inside human space, far from the sealed borders and the silent communication relays, something incredible was happening. Admiral Patricia Stone stood on the bridge of the carrier Defiant, the largest warship humanity had ever built. Through the massive windows in front of her, she could see the shipyards of New Eden, the most secret facility in human territory. Hundreds of construction drones swarmed around the skeletons of new ships. Sparks flew as metal was welded to metal. In the distance, completed vessels moved into formation, their hulls gleaming with a strange coating that seemed to absorb light. "Report," Stone said to Captain Daniel Morris, her executive officer. Daniel checked his tablet. He was a tall man with gray hair and steady hands. He had served under Stone for 15 years. He had never seen anything like what was happening now. "The gravitational manipulation systems are installed on the entire 7th Fleet," he said. "Stealth coding is complete on the 9th and 10th Fleets, and the new FTL drives." He paused, checking the numbers again to make sure they were correct. "They are testing at 4 times the speed we showed the Council." Stone allowed herself a small smile. "Good. What about Project Lighthouse? Fully operational. We can communicate instantly across any distance. No delay. No relay stations needed." For 300 years, humanity had played a role. They had pretended to be the eager newcomers, grateful for any scraps the older species threw their way. They had shared their technology freely, or so the Council believed. But humans had not shared everything. Not even close. The truth was simple. Humanity had always known the galaxy was dangerous. From the very first contact with alien life, when a Valorian scout ship had nearly destroyed an unarmed human research station, they had understood. The galaxy did not reward kindness. It did not respect honesty. It respected only power. So humanity had developed 2 tracks of technology. One track was public, shared with the Council, carefully designed to seem impressive, but not threatening. The other track was secret, hidden away in facilities like New Eden, pushed forward by scientists who understood that survival might one day depend on having an edge. Dr. Hannah Price was the leader of those scientists. She was a small woman with messy brown hair and glasses that were always slightly crooked. She looked like someone's favorite aunt, not the most brilliant physicist in human history. But appearances could be deceiving. "Admiral Stone," she said, walking onto the bridge with a tablet full of data. "I have the latest results from the dimensional folding tests." "Show me." Hannah pulled up a holographic display. It showed 2 points in space, separated by what looked like light years. As they watched, a small probe ship at one point simply vanished. A fraction of a second later, it appeared at the other point. "No hyperspace lane," Hannah explained. "No travel time. We fold space itself, bringing the 2 points together, move through, and then let space unfold again. It is instant. It works at any distance, and as far as we can tell, it is completely undetectable." Stone studied the display. "The Council species? Still using hyperspace lanes. Their fastest ships take days or weeks to cross the distances we can cover in seconds. They have no idea this is even theoretically possible." Hannah pushed her glasses up her nose. "They think they understand physics. They do not. They stopped learning thousands of years ago because they thought they knew everything." "And the weapons research?" Hannah's expression changed. The enthusiasm faded, replaced by something more complicated. "We have developed countermeasures for every weapons system the Council species use. We can disable their ships without destroying them. We can shut down their power, stop their engines, scramble their communications." "But," Stone could hear the hesitation in her voice. But we have also developed other things. Hannah met the Admiral's eyes. Things that could destroy them. Not just disable. Destroy. Completely. Entire fleets. Entire planets, if we wanted. She swallowed hard. I do not like having that kind of power. It scares me. Stone nodded slowly. She understood the fear. She felt it herself sometimes, late at night, when she thought about what humanity was becoming. The President's orders are clear, she said. We are not interested in conquest. We are not interested in revenge. We just want to be left alone. And if they will not leave us alone, then we convince them that it is in their best interest to reconsider. Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been bothering her for months. Admiral, what if we become like them? What if having all this power changes us? Makes us cruel? Stone thought about it. She thought about her parents, who had been farmers on a colony world. She thought about her children, who were growing up in a galaxy that had always treated humanity as lesser. She thought about the kind of future she wanted for them. That is why we are doing this the way we are doing it, she said finally. We could have attacked the Council. We could have started a war while we still had the element of surprise. We did not. We closed our borders instead. We gave them a chance to leave us alone. They will not take it. No. They probably will not. They will see our isolation as weakness. They will think we are afraid. They will eventually send their fleets to teach us a lesson. Stone turned back to the window, watching the construction drones work. And when they do, we will show them the truth. We will show them that we are not weak. We will show them that we could destroy them but choose not to. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough to change things. You think it will work? Stone was quiet for a long time. I think humans have always been different, she said. We do not just want to survive. We want to be good. We want to build something worth building. The Council species forgot that somewhere along the way, they became empires. They became conquerors. They became afraid of anything new. She turned back to Hannah. We will not be like them. We will be what we always should have been. Humanity at its best. Strong enough to protect ourselves. Kind enough to protect others. And wise enough to know the difference. Outside the windows, another ship came online. Its engines glowing blue in the darkness of space. Humanity was building something new. Something the galaxy had never seen before. And soon, everyone would know it. 2 years after humanity closed its borders, something unexpected happened. A small ship appeared at the edge of human space. It was not a warship. It carried no weapons. It came alone. The ship belonged to Delegate Morthos of the Galactic Confederation. He had not told the Council he was coming. He had not asked for permission. He had simply left Thalaxis Prime one night and pointed his vessel toward the darkness where no ships returned. His crew thought he was crazy. He had left them behind at a neutral station with instructions to wait for 3 weeks. If he did not come back, they should tell the Council he had died on a personal journey, nothing more. Now, as his ship crossed the invisible line that marked the human border, Morthos felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt afraid. The warning came almost immediately. A voice, calm and clear, speaking perfect Gathic. Unknown vessel, you have entered human-controlled space. State your purpose. Morthos took a deep breath. His 4 eyes blinked slowly, one pair after another. I am Delegate Morthos, of the Galactic Confederation. I come not as a representative of the Council, but as an individual. I wish to understand. Nothing more. Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then the voice returned. Hold your position. He waited. Hours passed. He did not move. He did not try to communicate again. He simply sat in his pilot seat and watched the stars and wondered if he would ever see his homeworld again. 6 hours after his arrival, space changed. There was no warning. No flash of light. No ripple of hyperspace energy. One moment, he was alone. The next moment, a human ship was beside him, as if it had always been there, as if it had simply stepped out from behind an invisible door. Morthos felt his hearts. He had 3 of them skip together. This was impossible. Ships did not move like that. Nothing moved like that. And yet the evidence was right in front of his eyes. A shuttle detached from the human ship and docked with his vessel. He heard the airlock cycling. He heard footsteps approaching. And then, a human was standing in his cockpit, looking at him with curious eyes. She was young by human standards. Short, dark hair, brown skin. A uniform that was simple and practical, with no medals or decorations. Her eyes, though her eyes seemed to see everything at once. "I am Lieutenant Commander Kira Novak," she said. Her Gathic was perfect, without any accent. "You are the first non-human to cross our border peacefully since the withdrawal. Why are you here?" Morthos considered his answer carefully. Humans valued honesty, he knew. They had been honest with the Council for 300 years. And the Council had repaid that honesty with theft and contempt. Perhaps they would recognize honesty in return. "Because I saw what others refused to see," he said. "The Council believes your withdrawal was petulance, a child having a tantrum. They expect you to come back eventually, begging for forgiveness. And what do you believe?" "I believe you are done begging." Morthos leaned forward slightly. "The Gathic have long memories, Lieutenant Commander. Longer than most species know. We remember when the Valorians first joined the galactic community. They too were young once. They too were underestimated. They too grew tired of being treated as inferior. What happened? They destroyed 12 species before the Council finally accepted them as equals." Morthos paused. "That was 4,000 years ago. The Council has forgotten. We have not." Kira's expression did not change. "We have no intention of destroying anyone. I know. That is what fascinates me." Morthos studied her face, looking for any sign of deception. He found none. "Your ship appeared from nowhere. That is not possible with any technology I know. Your weapons disabled Silurian vessels without causing any casualties. That is also not supposed to be possible. You have clearly surpassed us, all of us, and yet you hide. You wait. You defend but do not attack. Why?" Kira was silent for a moment. Then she sat down across from him, her posture relaxed but alert. "Because we are not like the Valorians," she said. "We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to be feared. We just want to live our lives without being treated like children, without being robbed, without being insulted, without being threatened by species who think they are better than us, simply because they are older. Those are peaceful goals, yes. But the Council does not believe in peace. They believe in power. They think that because they have had power for so long, they deserve it. They think that any species without power must be inferior." Kira's voice was calm, but there was something hard beneath it. "So we showed them we have power too. We closed our borders to prove we do not need them. And if they force the issue, if they send their fleets to teach us a lesson, we will defend ourselves. Completely." Morthos was quiet for a long time, thinking. The other species on the Council saw humanity as a problem to be solved, a threat to be contained, a child to be disciplined. They did not see them as what they really were. "You are something new," he said finally. "In all my years, in all the history my people have recorded, I have never seen a species like yours. You have the power to conquer. You have the power to destroy, and you choose not to use it." "Not yet," Kira said. "We hope we never have to, but we are prepared if we do. May I share this information with others?" "With the Council?" Kira smiled slightly. It was the first emotion she had shown. "That is why we let you through. Someone needs to make them understand. Someone needs to warn them before they do something foolish." She stood up. "You will be given an escort to our border. You will not be harmed. And when you return to Thalaxis Prime, you will tell them what you have seen." Morthos nodded slowly. "They will not listen. We know. But we have to try." She turned toward the airlock. "Goodbye, delegate. I hope we meet again under better circumstances." She left. Her ship vanished the same way it had appeared, instantly, impossibly, like a dream dissolving in morning light. Morthos sat alone in his cockpit for a long time, staring at the stars. Then he turned his ship around and began the journey back to Thalaxis Prime. He had a story to tell. He did not think anyone would believe him, but he had to try. That was what the humans would do. The Council's response to Morthos was exactly what he had expected. They did not believe him. They called him a fool. They accused him of being tricked by human lies. High Arbiter Kolmeth laughed when he heard the report. Ships that appear from nowhere? Weapons that disable without damage? This is fantasy. The old Gathic has been deceived. Commander Vethro of the Silurian military was more blunt. The humans are bluffing. They showed him a magic trick to frighten us. It is time we reminded them who holds real power in this galaxy. Within 3 weeks, the largest military force in galactic history was assembled. 1,200 Silurian warships, the finest vessels ever built, weapons capable of destroying planets, shields that could withstand anything the Council had ever faced. Kolmeth called it a peacekeeping mission. The goal, he said, was to compel humanity to return to the Council family, to help them understand that isolation was not in their best interest, to restore the proper order of things. Everyone knew what it really was. It was punishment. It was a lesson. It was the galaxy's way of showing a young species what happened when they forgot their place. Morthos watched the fleet depart from his quarters on Thalaxis Prime. His 4 eyes were sad. He had tried to warn them. He had told them what he had seen. But pride was stronger than wisdom. It always was. "I am sorry," he whispered to no one. "I tried." The Silurian fleet crossed the human border at 17 different points. It was a perfect formation. Overwhelming force spread across a wide front. No escape, no chance for the humans to concentrate their defenses. Commander Vethro stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror, and watched the stars slide past. His mandibles clicked with anticipation. This would be his greatest victory. The glory of forcing humanity to surrender would make him a legend. "Any resistance?" he asked his officers. "None, Commander. Human space appears to be empty." Vethro's compound eyes narrowed. That was wrong. There should have been patrol ships, defense stations, something. The humans could not have simply abandoned their border systems. "Continue forward," he ordered. "Stay alert." They traveled for 3 hours without seeing anything. No ships, no stations, no signs of life at all. Just stars and planets and empty space. And then space changed. 700 human ships appeared around the Silurian armada. Not emerging from hyperspace. Not flying in from the edges. Simply appearing, as if they had always been there. As if reality had blinked and now included them. Vethro felt something cold move through his body. He had never felt fear before. He felt it now. "All ships, combat alert," he shouted. "Raise shields. Prepare to engage." Before his orders could be carried out, a voice came through every communication system in the fleet. Calm. Clear. Unhurried. "Silurian fleet, this is Admiral Stone of the Human Defense Force. You have entered our space without permission. You will stand down immediately." Vethro forced his voice to stay steady. "Human vessel, you are outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. Your threats are empty. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." "Commander," Admiral Stone said, "we have given you this chance because we believe in second chances. We are going to demonstrate something. Please watch carefully." Every Silurian ship lost power at the same moment. It was not an attack. Nothing exploded. Nothing burned. The ships simply stopped. Engines died. Weapons went cold. Shields collapsed. Navigation systems went dark. 1,200 warships, the pride of the most powerful military in the galaxy, suddenly became 1,200 pieces of drifting metal. Life support kept working. The crews were alive. They were safe. They were just completely helpless. In the darkness of his powerless bridge, Commander Vethro heard Admiral Stone's voice continue. "We have disabled your fleet. Your crews are unharmed. Rescue vessels will arrive soon to tow you back to Council space." There was a pause. "But understand this. We could have destroyed you. Every single ship. Every single crew member. We had the power to end 1,200 lives in an instant. We chose not to." Vethro said nothing. There was nothing to say. "This is the only warning humanity will give. We do not want war. We do not want conquest. We do not want revenge. We want only to be left in peace. Respect our borders, and we will respect yours. Threaten us again, and there will be no third chance." The communication ended. Across the galaxy, every species with access to Council broadcasts watched in stunned silence. They had seen the fleet. They had seen it stop. They had seen the impossible made real. On Thalaxis Prime, High Arbiter Colmeth sat in his chambers, his scales shifting through colors that had no translation. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. Everything he had believed about the universe had been wrong. Commander Vethro was eventually rescued, along with his crews. He resigned from the military the next day. He never spoke publicly about what had happened. But those who knew him said he was never the same. He had looked into the eyes of a power greater than his own, and it had broken something inside him. 3 weeks later, a new treaty was proposed. Not by the Council, but by the Gathic Confederation. Morthos had finally found someone willing to listen. The Treaty of Mutual Respect was unlike anything in galactic history. It acknowledged humanity as an equal power, not a junior member. It guaranteed their territorial sovereignty completely, and it established new rules that protected young species from the exploitation humanity had endured. Some on the Council resisted. Colmeth, in his final act as High Arbiter, tried to block the treaty. But the vote was overwhelming. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do. More importantly, they had seen what humanity chose not to do. Claire Hoffman, now Secretary of External Affairs, returned to the Council chamber for the signing ceremony. The seats that had been empty for more than 2 years were filled again with human delegates, but everything else was different. The other species looked at her with new expressions. Respect, certainly. Fear, in some cases. But also something that might have been hope. "Humanity is prepared to rejoin the galactic community," Claire announced. Her voice echoed in the crystal chamber. "Not as juniors. Not as children. As equals." She paused, letting the words settle. "We have technologies that could help every species here. Medical advances that could save millions of lives. Agricultural techniques that could end famine forever. Energy solutions that could power entire civilizations." She looked around the room, meeting every eye that would hold her gaze. "We want to share these things. Freely. Without conditions." The chamber was completely silent. "But we will never again be dismissed. We will never again be exploited. We will never again accept being treated as less than we are." Claire's voice was firm but not angry. "We came to the stars hoping to find friends. Instead, we found contempt. So we went home and became strong enough that we never have to accept contempt again." She smiled slightly. "Now we are back. And this time, we are staying." The vote to accept humanity's new terms was unanimous. It was the first unanimous vote in Council history. Outside the crystal chamber, the stars continued to burn. The galaxy continued to turn. But something fundamental had changed. A new species had taken its place among the great powers. And unlike those who came before, they had done it without firing a single shot. Humanity had finally arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.